Thank you very much for joining us for the main news on Camnet TV today, Tuesday, the 11th of July, 2023. Let's take a look at the stories making the headlines this evening. Alleged CADRES swindle traders at LUSAKA'S COMESA market. Teachers Union blasts government over sanitation challenges in Lusaka. Zimbabwean presidential hopeful condemns the use of colonial tactics to gain political office. And in international news, 86 migrants rescued by Spanish coastguards. And in sports news, Zambia beats Seychelles by 4 goals to 2. For details of these and other stories, join us shortly after this break.
Water is life. Each drop counts, and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back, and now the news in detail. Some traders at Lusaka's COMESA market have called on government to restore sanity at the trading place after they were allegedly swindled out of 2,000 kwacha each for market space allocation. One of the traders alleges that she has constantly been threatened when she queries about the trading space, despite a Mr. Kachingwe, alleged to be the market chairman, receiving a payment 1 month ago. The traders have alleged that the UPND cadres have invaded the market by allocating trading space to individuals they deem to be sympathizers of the ruling party. We have details in the following report.
The debate on whether or not CADRES are still existing in markets and other public places despite President Hakainde Hichilema's directives for them to vacate is the order of the day. Some traders at Lusaka's COMESA market have called on the local authorities to provide oversight on their operations, stating that 2 women alleged to be Congolese nationals and a Mr. Kachingwe, believed to be the market chairman, have swindled them 2,000 kwacha each for allocation of trading space in the market, which has not happened. One of the victims explains to this journalist that each time the alleged market chairman is questioned about the allocation of trading space after payment was made a month ago, the chairman offloads threats to the victims. They are calling on government to intervene in the matter as they have been chased from their points of operation.
So vanabwera vamaridhazi vakuofesi nokamba kuti apa pamalo tikuchosani. So letani ndalama tinavapasa matupini ndabwa chape 1 week atichokamponi. So apana kwanisa 1 month nilibepo gulisira vana kunyumba valina njala ndalama vanatenga nibwezere ndalama swafuna kunibwezera
Wanatenga zingati ndalama?
Vanatenga 2,000.
Telling them that no, we are going to give you a space where you can trade. At the end of the day, they eat that money. And we have even the audio where somebody was saying we entered that place so that we should be eating. And there are a lot of people who are suffering there. There are Zambians who are suffering there. There are a lot of Zambians who are suffering there. So we want to say, because our president has emphasized that he doesn't want people to be harassing their fellow friends over the allegation of, oh no, this one is a UPND cadre, this one is a PF cadre.
As chairman, alemba abantu amashina abakweta ali 10 amashopu abakweta ali 20 ngabalemba filano kuya mkulando kwebati mukese mbona abaperana namba nefo fyapo afwe nefo bashitire amalo muri amukomesa tapali file chitika turechula fye na nomba turero lela ine pamonga national leader ifipe fyandi tampela yonse kuchula na fyo yonse ngawaya kukuchita 13 nomba fo tuingekala mu market ine pamungo mwina Zambia abale bomba muri mu market bana mayo mafole na yeka umwina Zambia takudi so ine chondelira batu afuirishe.
Yes. I own a shop at COMESA Market, but I was surprised when I was moving with my colleague Francis to see a lady by the name of Gina. I don't know. I don't know if she's a thug, I don't know. She just started beating me. In the process, I ran to the police to go and report. She hit me with blows, but I couldn't return. I just ran to the police.
While fuming, an alleged female chief market security officer threatened to manhandle the traders believed to have been swindled 2,000 kwachas each. Some of the traders rushed to COMESA police post for safety. The alleged security officer says the accusations by the traders are unfounded.
What's your issue?
My issue is bamene bachita reporting ngati kuti vantu vamene vanaluvyanya ngati muntu anabera muntu ndrama lekani vamuchita report ku police not kwangoipya vantu vonse atichita anachita vantu vanaluvyanya vintu vaso. No, we don't tolerate that. We started this COMESA market in 1998. 1998.
Camnet TV keenly follows any development in this matter. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The National Union of Public and Private Educators of Zambia, NUPEZ, has expressed disappointment at the fact that Lusaka City has remained the dirtiest town in Zambia despite all government ministries being housed in Lusaka. Addressing the press in Lusaka today, NUPEZ Executive President Victor Muyumba says the line ministries tasked with the responsibility of keeping the city clean has failed in its duties and that the union will take it upon itself to find a solution to the challenge. Mr. Muyumba says that what the country needs is a mindset change, and the union has since proposed that the country should come up with one day in which people should park their vehicles and either walk or cycle to work to reduce on carbon emission. Here's a report.
Over the past few years, Lusaka province has gained itself a record of being the dirtiest city in Zambia, with litter filling nearly every part of the central business district, drainages, and even homes. The National Union of Public and Private Educators of Zambia, NUPEZ, is since disappointed with government's failure to manage waste in Lusaka, despite all government ministries being housed in the province.
Politicians are extensively traveled. They have moved. Unless they come to tell me that the cleanliness they have seen elsewhere is as a result of accident. I need to learn about that. Is it by accident or is it by decision making? What are we waiting for, or who are we waiting for? Here is a restaurant, here is a garbage heap, and flies are all over. People are eating and watching flies. It's just like that. How do you expect to be healthy? NIMA, National Health Insurance Management Authority, will tell you that the money that you take there has been depleted already. Why is it depleted? Because we're a sick country. And it's sick because of debt. Go even to healthy institutions, clinics and the hospitals, places where you expect it to be healed. If you go there healthy, you come back sick. If it's not flu, it's a headache or any other. Why? Because places are dirty.
The union has since proposed to the government measures to be put in place to manage carbon emission and protect the environment.
Why should a district be dirty where you have the mayor, you have the district commissioner? Okay, why should Lusaka be dirty where you have all the ministries housed in here? We propose then that the Ministry of Local Government, the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, the Ministry of Labor, the Ministry of Education should come up with a team that is going to bring about institutional change, that is going to bring about mindset change, that is going to conscientize the public in terms of how we should be clean going forward. Let's have campaigns.
The union has also challenged government to effect automatic upgrade of in-service teachers who have obtained higher qualifications, adding that this process has been long overdue.
We propose that they do a qualifications audit, and this is supposed to be done per district, meaning a circular is supposed to be done to all the structures up to district level, that each district is supposed to do a qualifications audit, and that this audit should simply be about those that have got education-related degrees but have not been placed correctly. It should go with subject combination. The other issue they need to embark on is that of needs assessment.
The union has since pledged to continue speaking on matters that affect the country without fear or favor. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, JCTR, has reported that the cost of living for the family of 5 in Lusaka for the month of June 2023 has increased by 162 kwacha. JCTR Social and Economic Development Program Manager Muchimba Siamachoka has attributed the increase in the basket to price increases in food items such as beans, cooking oil, bananas, and fresh milk. Ms. Siamachoka says the basket increased to 9,239.45 ingwe from about 9,077 kwacha recorded in May this year. She says the center has observed that the cost of living continues to remain high and unattainable for the vast majority.
Cost of living for a family of 5, as measured by the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, JCTR, Basic Needs and Nutrition Basket in the month of June 2023 in Lusaka stood at 9,239 kwacha, 0.45 ingwe. This signifies an increase of 161 kwacha, 0.52 ngwe. The basket's upward movement can be attributed to price increases in food items such as beans, cooking oil, bananas, and fresh milk. Downward movements were noted in the prices of vegetables, other fruits, and charcoal. During the month under review, the Zambian kwacha continued to depreciate against major currencies such as the United States dollar. The currency did strengthen towards the end of the month following the announcement of the country's debt restructuring agreement. Reviewing the basket trends, JCTR observes that the cost of living continues to remain high and unattainable for the vast majority. At mid-year point, the cost of living in Lusaka averaged at 9,100 kwacha, with the national average basket standing at 6,400 kwacha, significantly higher than the average monthly income of 4,215 kwacha as per Labor Force statistics.
An agricultural economist has charged that the current increase in mealie meal prices is inevitable because maize prices have gone up. Edfai Hamogale tells Camnet News in a statement that over the past years, the maize value chain has always favored the agro-processors and millers and not the farmers. Mr. Hamugale says the current situation now favors farmers who, he said, play a vital role in the value chain. He says with the high maize prices, it is expected that farmers will increase area planted under maize and new additional farmers will make up maize production, which will result in a mega maize bumper harvest.
Yes, of course, I've heard about the increase in mealie meal prices, and that is expected. But I really want to call upon the public and all the people involved in agriculture to be fair when dealing with stakeholders. In the past, the maize value chain has always favored the millers and the consumers and not the farmer. And that's where the mistake has been. And now that the maize price has gone up, it means the farmer is also benefiting. And without the farmer, there's no miller and the consumer has nothing to eat. And we should see it that way. And so all these processors and other people making noise over maize mealie meal prices should realize that without the farmer, we can't have the commodity on the market. And so what I can tell you that the future is bright. because with this high maize price, we expect a lot of farmers to increase their area planted under maize. And we also expect new farmers to begin to produce maize because of the attractive price. With that in place, we'll expect a mega bumper harvest.
Zimbabwe's presidential hopeful Saviour Kasukuwere has charged that African leaders must move away from the mentality of using colonial tactics, which include violence, to gain political office. Mr. Kasukuwere, who is a former minister in the Mugabe regime, observes that politics of violence started way back in the colonial days as the country was fighting for independence, but says this must not be allowed to continue in this day and era. He says politicians must now embrace politics of unity, and further says one of his priorities when he is voted into office will be to bring reconciliation in the country. He said this during a news conference in Lusaka Monday evening.
It's on me. And obviously, as I said yesterday to some colleagues that, when you're a white person and someone calls you a racist, because you're white, you can't even deny that I'm not a racist. Because by nature of being white, you are told, everybody thinks you are a racist. I was in Zambia. Yesterday I was a youth leader. I was a minister in government. And collectively, we must accept that a lot of things were wrongly done. We take full responsibility and we apologize for those things. And that is the fact. We can't run away from that. I think a lot of injury happened. And that's why I'm talking about the reconciliation process underpinned by an open and transparent acknowledgement of what he did. And I have said, one of the first things that I would do is to set up a national reconciliation process, of which I must be the first one also to be asking, like you're asking me. And I'll refer you to the Human Rights Watch, which was authored by the late Dewa Mavinga, may he so rest in peace. It captures the violence in the graphic, it captures the actors. And the beauty about it, my name is not involved.
Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga has refuted claims from some sections of society that Republican President Hakainde Hichilema has been giving orders to police officers. Featuring on Camnet's TV's current affairs program, National Matters, Mr. Hamonga says police officers take operations independently without external hands. Meanwhile, Mr. Hamonga explains that concerns raised in the alleged 2022 Human Rights Report are not conclusive. Here's a report.
While stakeholders in the country have been weighing in on the alleged human rights concerns raised in the 2022 U.S. report on human rights for Zambia, in the scope of opposition political players, it is political persecution, and to those in authority, the rule of law is prevailing. But Patriotic Front Deputy Publicity and Information Chairperson Emmanuel Mwamba, during a Camnet TV current affairs program dubbed National Matters on Monday, says the country is in unprofessional hands of police officers. Mr. Mwamba says the U.S. report stands out as a true reflection of the country's human rights and alleges that there are still unlawful detentions being made without following the due process of the law.
Why I was picked by the police up to now I don't understand. Why charges have been laid against me I still don't understand. We have a catalogue of people that are detained. I love what the head of state says, President Hakainde Hichilema. He says, first, don't arrest before you investigate. Then he says, don't keep someone in police detention more than 24 hours or 48 hours, or arraign them before courts of law. That is not happening.
Meanwhile, on the same platform, Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson Thabo Kawana says assertions by Mr. Mwamba are false.
I will tell you, because I've taken keen interest on his case, because this man rarely tells the truth. The issue is when he was found at the car wash, when he was found at the car wash, they identified themselves and they asked him to escort them to the police, and he refused. So that scarf of pulling each other, it was him who kumbatira chipo, kuti nkuya nini. And that's how they were now dragging him. Said, no, we have to go together. They identified themselves as police. But Emmanuel's story is his honest version of the story.
And police spokesperson Ray Hamonga says the police is exhibiting professionalism in its operations, further quashing allegations of receiving orders from external hands.
Abused by the politicians, but the president has a role to play in defending the constitution. If it's within the confines of the constitution, yes, the president has powers to do that, to give orders to the institution to do what is right according to the constitution. Of course, we have a guideline that we're supposed to follow and which we endeavor at each and every time to ensure that we follow it. When we opened here, I mentioned that when people see a police officer, they should see hope. They should see a protector of human rights. And that's what we endeavor as police. And that's what we actually stand for. Of course, certain things may happen here and there, but to make it clear, we as police officers, we are human rights defenders. You cannot talk of human rights without talking of police. Because the police is the #1 defender of human rights. And
Mr. Hamonga also says concerns raised in the U.S. Human Rights Report for 2022 are not conclusive.
The issue of the U.S. report. The U.S. report says it is reportedly, meaning it's not conclusive. Okay? Some of these things that you are saying, that it is reportedly. Even the issue of Rizwan has not come to a police saying like he came to report, like his mother which is being looked at by us as police. We didn't receive any complaint from him, formal complaint. Or what we are seeing are things which are being posted on social media. Now, social media is not an adjudicator for such things.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Lusaka Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chimbwili has warned independent Lumezi area Member of Parliament Muniya Zulu to attach seriousness to his criminal case, as lack of it will result in more consequences. Magistrate Chimbwili issued the warning to the lawmaker shortly after granting him a 200,000 kwacha bail in his own cognizance with 2 working sureties in similar conditions. On Friday, the 7th of July 2023, Magistrate Chimbwili revoked Mr. Zulu's police bond in a case. He is facing 3 counts of libel and fined him 200 kwacha for contempt of court. Here's a report.
The subordinate court could not go without sending a strong warning to independent Lumezi area Member of Parliament Muniya Zulu shortly after granting him bail. Lusaka Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chimbwili, who has granted the lawmaker's plea of bail application Tuesday morning, advised Mr. Zulu to attach seriousness to his criminal trial, as failure to do so will result in him facing more consequences. Magistrate Chimbwili, who has granted Mr. Zulu a 200,000 bail in his own recognizance with 2 working sureties bound in similar conditions, said he was not going to entertain any drama from the accused. Mr. Zulu, who secured himself bail this morning, had his police bond revoked on the 7th of July 2023 by the Chief Resident Magistrate following his failure to appear before court twice. On the actual day, the accused was also found guilty of contempt of court and fined 200 kwacha, while his surety was ordered to pay 100,000 kwacha cash for failing to facilitate the accused's appearance before court. The outspoken lawmaker is appearing before the subordinate court on charges of libel after he accused Finance Minister Dr. Stombeko Mosokotwane and his infrastructure and urban development counterpart Charles Milupi of receiving bribes. Knowing that he will continue to remain detained despite securing his bail, Mr. Zulu, in the company of his lawyers, rushed to another magistrate who had placed him on bench warrant to plead. Mr. Muniya Zulu was placed on bench warrant by Magistrate Sylvia Munyinya after he failed to fulfill his surety obligation. He had signed as surety for former presidential political advisor Kaiza Zulu. However, Mr. Kaiza Zulu has been at large. The lawmaker was, however, advised to appear before court on the 18th of July 2023, as it is the date set for the return of bench warrant. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
An 81-year-old man of Kavuma village in Chongwe district who was accused of trafficking in 68 grams of marijuana in 2022 but later acquitted has dragged the state to the Lusaka High Court for unlawful prosecution. Mr. Taimwape had earlier commenced his petition before the Constitutional Court but later discontinued it. According to his petition, Mr. Mwape contends that prior to his recent arrest and acquittal, the Drug Enforcement Commission had arrested him for a similar offense where he was convicted despite failure by the state to determine the required quantity of Delta-9 THC in the said drug. According to the Narcotic Drug and Psychotropic Act of 2021, to ascertain the presence of marijuana in a product, there should be over 0.3% of Delta THC. Here's a report.
An 81-year-old man who recently walked to freedom on marijuana charges has retained his earlier position to discontinue the case against the state and decided to continue with his lawsuit. Taimwape of Kavuma village in Chongwe district had filed a petition against the state before the Constitutional Court immediately after he was acquitted from allegations of trafficking in 68 grams of marijuana. On the 29th of June 2023, Mr. Mwape discontinued his petition before the Constitutional Court. But desirous to pursue his lawsuit against the state, Mr. Mwape has rushed back to court, this time the Lusaka High Court, with similar reliefs that his arrest and prosecution was unlawful. In a petition filed before court, Mr. Mwape contends that prior to his recent arrest in November 2022 and acquittal, the Drug Enforcement Commission had arrested him for similar offense earlier where he was convicted despite failure by the state to determine the required quantity of Delta-9 THC in the said drug. According to the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Act of 2021, to ascertain the presence of marijuana in a product, there should be over 0.3% of tetrahydrocannabinol, also known as Delta-9 THC. In November 2022, Mr. Mwape was arrested for trafficking in 68 grams of marijuana without authorization and had told the Lusaka Magistrate Court that he was using the said for medical purposes for his grandson. Luckily, in January 2023, he was acquitted after establishing that the prosecution team failed to determine the required quantity of Delta-9 THC in the drug. Mr. Mwape, who now claims that he was earlier unlawfully prosecuted and convicted for a similar offense, is seeking damage. The 81-year-old also wants the court to order that his previous arrest, prosecution and conviction without establishing the content of Delta-9 THC in the substance allegedly in possession was unconstitutional, illegal and void. In his petition, the plaintiff has cited the Attorney General and the Drug Enforcement Commission as respondents. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Court has rejected former Defense Minister Geoffrey Mwamba's application to compel the Anti-Corruption Commission to produce in court the original letter where he, in 2011, declared interest in a business deal with government. Lusaka Magistrate Sanford Ngobola has instead ruled that the accused must subpoena whoever he suspects to be in possession of the letter in question to produce in court. This is in a matter in which Mr. Mwamba, also known as GBM, is charged with possession of property deemed to be proceeds of crime, conflicts of interest and money laundering. Mr. Mwamba had based his application on allegations that the SEC Director General Tom Shamakamba and his subordinates intended to arrest him for allegedly producing a fake document in a matter where he is charged with 24 counts of possession of property deemed to be proceeds of crime. The accused had expressed concern that the SEC officers intended to arrest him over the alleged forged document tendered in his case, which is still active in the Financial and Economic Crimes Court. He also submitted that the SEC officers summoned him on June 27, 2023, together with his lawyer, Jonas Zimba, for interrogation over the same document. The matter has been adjourned to the 17th of July 2023 for continued defense. On that note, we break for some commercials. We still have more news coming up. Don't go away.
In our quest to save nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, too, me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Operation Young Vote Executive Director Ges Nyirenda has observed a lack of seriousness by the authorities in addressing issues affecting young people in the country. Mr. Nyirenda has since called for the revision of the National Youth Development Act in order to safeguard the plight of young people. He says it is unacceptable for the country to be using the act that was last revised in 1987 and expect to effectively attend to youth matters. Mr. Nyirenda has also underscored the need to develop the new national youth policy to facilitate a coordinated and efficient approach to youth development.
It is quite sad and very unfortunate that in Zambia we seem to be attending to the plight of the youth in a laissez-faire manner, and we handle the matters of the youth, of course, as a by the way issue, which is quite worrying and quite concerning. As Operation Young Vote, we know that yes, the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts, they may have done one or two things that really are good and are helping the youth. But we see that things are being done haphazardly. We say things are being done haphazardly because we note that the youth policy has taken too long to be revised. The youth policy has been came to its conclusion or expired some time back, but then it has taken too long for it to be revised so that it is in tandem with the dictates of what is happening today with regards to youth matters. But also the National Youth Development Council Act. It's very worrying because then this is an obsolete, this is an outdated law. It was last revised in 1987, and you cannot be talking of an act of a law that was done in 1987 today in the 21st century, in 2023, has to attend to the plight of the youth, to the youth issues.
The Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development Permanent Secretary Technical Services, Nicholas Piri, says government has not abandoned the mini civic center projects in Lusaka. The previous administration had embarked on the construction of mini civic centers in 2018. However, the project had stalled in various constituencies. Mr. Piri tells Camnet News that the government has started with fire services and will later attend to the issue of mini civic centers. He says the government has already demonstrated the zeal on the decentralization agenda by accompanying the process with resources for community development.
Take note that this government is not just talking about decentralization by devolution, but we are actually walking the talk by way of committing resources to the devolution or decentralization agenda. So yes, for cities like Lusaka, where the municipality is so huge and services ought to be taken closer to the people, that program is very much alive. But of course, it has to be done in a systematic and methodic way. Apart from the civic centers you're talking about, you may also wish to know that we even had fire stations that were being constructed in Charleston, in Chilenge, in Makeni. And so in being methodical and systematic, we try to look at which ones are the easiest things to start with. And so we started with a program for the fire stations, which by August we should be heading over the 3 fire stations in Lusaka, with the aim of taking the fire services closer to the community where they are really needed. And after that, then we'll go to the next phase, and that will be the one we'll be talking about the main civic centers and so on and so forth. So yes, the program is very much alive. It's very much inside of government program agenda.
Acting Minister of Health, Gary Nkombo, has disclosed that plans to construct a mortuary at Chawama First Level Hospital are underway, awaiting approval from the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. Mr. Nkombo says government is aware of the various challenges that residents are facing in disposing of their loved ones. Responding to an oral question raised by Chawama Member of Parliament, Dasira Lungu, Mr. Nkombo highlights that 10 mortuary units have been constructed to ease the challenges the people are facing. Mr. Nkombo while on the floor of the National Assembly also disclosed that there was a recklessness in the construction of the first-level hospital because the mortuary is a necessity.
Government indeed has plans to construct a mortuary at the Chawama first-level hospital in Chawama parliamentary constituency through either one or the other means. As Minister acting for health and also substantive Minister of Local Government, I am aware that the Chawama Constituency Development Fund did apply for an approval of this particular project, which approval process is still work under progress. And therefore, it goes without saying that ever since the upgrade, the people of Chawama have been taking the remains of their loved ones to the University Teaching Hospital, a situation that has occasioned this question from the Honourable Member of Parliament. Further to the application for the approval of the construction of this mortuary or morgue, I wish the member to also know that government has plans to procure 10 units of mortuary in a phased manner for public health facilities that do not have these mortuaries. And this is expected to happen in the latter part of this year.
The Ministry of Green Economy and Environment says the Zambian government has adopted a comprehensive approach to managing the adverse effects of climate change whilst promoting environmental sustainability, food security and peace. Ministry Permanent Secretary Dr. Dauti Chibamba says the approach comprises 3 key strategic areas, among them the implementation of innovative climate financing mechanisms facilitated by the Securities Exchange Commission, which has been pivotal. The Permanent Secretary explained that this includes the issuance of green bonds, which enable investments in sustainable projects and initiatives. He said his strategy promotes a more efficient allocation of resources in mitigating climate change. And speaking at the same event, Deputy Director, Policy and Planning in the Ministry of Agriculture, Paul Mumba, says the workshop is important in setting the agenda for the climate change mitigation and adaptation peace and security in the continent.
Also recognize the interplay between climate change, agri-food systems and security, climate variability and mainstreams, can intensify inequalities, increase tensions and conflicts, leading to poverty, hunger, displacements, and weakened resilience. Therefore, fostering peace and stable environments and creating resilient systems is essential for sustainable food, land, water systems, and overall human security. The government of the Republic of Zambia, with support from other partners, is committed to addressing the effects of climate change through the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment. The ministry that is mandated to promote climate change adaptation, mitigation, and overall coordination. In this regard, we are developing a national adaptation plan, a NAP, which is almost completed. This is giving us a blueprint to address impacts of climate change, both in the medium and long term, and we are confident that aspects of peace and security will be reflected in this strategic document.
On that note, we break for some commercials, but still ahead we have international and sports news. Don't go away.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver Precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back, and now in international news, the Spanish Coast Guard rescued 86 migrants from sub-Saharan Africa on Monday aboard a boat found near the Canary Islands. Spotted earlier by the rescue plane, the boat, 6 women and 80 men were brought to the port of Aguanuagin on Gran Canaria, where they were greeted by Red Cross workers who provided them with medical care. The rescuers were at the time searching the area for a vessel with around 200 people on board that left Senegal on the 27th of June 2023. For more in international news, we monitored African news.
The Spanish Coast Guard has said it rescued 86 migrants from sub-Saharan Africa on Monday aboard a boat near the Canary Islands. The 6 women and 80 men on board were brought to the port of Aguanuagin on Gran Canaria, where they were provided with medical care. The rescue comes as a search is ongoing for a missing migrant boat that left Senegal in late June, with around 200 people on board. Monday's rescue was initially believed to be the same boat, but the Spanish Coast Guard is unable to confirm whether the missing vessel is still adrift. Dangerous Atlantic crossings have surged in recent years as migrants seek to reach Europe via the Canary Islands. 7,213 migrants arrived on the islands by boat in the first 6 months of this year.
The days pass slowly here. There isn't much to do but clean, cook and wait. These Rohingya refugees have been at this temporary shelter in northern Indonesia for more than 6 months.
The boat journey was difficult. We had enough food in the beginning until it ran out. We floated on the water for a month and the engine stopped working. Luckily, we received help from another boat. When we arrived, I didn't even know where we were.
Here, many Rohingyas say they finally feel safe after years of living in crowded and increasingly dangerous refugee camps in Bangladesh. And before that, escaping widespread violence by security forces in Myanmar.
There are 19 children here under the age of 5 living at this temporary shelter in Pidi. Many of the parents here told Al Jazeera their only hope is that their children can get an education and have a better life than they did.
The refugees have their basic needs met here. There's somewhere safe to sleep and enough food for everyone. Health workers visit the shelter several times a week.
We cannot say their living condition in Aceh is ideal, but I guess this is the safest place for them at the moment.
But Indonesia is not home for the refugees. They cannot legally work here, and it's difficult to send their children to schools. As Southeast Asian foreign ministers meet in the Indonesian capital, Jakarta, human rights groups criticize the failures of the ASEAN regional organization.
ASEAN is really unwilling to deal with this crisis, and this goes back a long way. I mean, we've been seeing Rohingya boats making these perilous boat journeys for more than a decade now, And, what we've seen is a maritime game of ping pong where, countries simply force boats back out onto the high seas and don't want to take responsibility.
Back at the shelter, there's even the occasional dance class intended to be a chance for Rohingya children to make friends with their new neighbours. For Mohusana, such festivities are a rare, welcome distraction. She and her 4 children have no passports, no money and no plans for the future.
We were in a similar prison-like place before, and it's the same here. So there's no hope. I want to go to a country where my children can find peace.
Lately, she says, she's starting to doubt whether such a place exists. Jessica Washington, Al Jazeera, Aceh, Indonesia.
The Zambia national football team has beaten Seychelles by 4-2 at the ongoing Hollywood-based COSAFA Cup Championship in South Africa. This was after Zambia beat Seychelles by 4-2 in a game played at the Princess Magogo Stadium. The Chipolopolo boys, however, have to wait for results from the other groups to confirm qualification to the semi-finals of the tournament. Zambia allowed 2 late goals after a comfortable 4-0 lead. They took the lead in the 11th minute after Red Arrows striker Albert Kangwanda struck from distance. Defender Kilian Kanguroma doubled the lead from close range, then Gordon Masheta made it 3. 4 minutes later, while Power Dynamo's Frederick Mulamba made it 4 in the 73rd minute. Seychelles pulled one back in the 81st minute through Brandon Labros and then scored a penalty late in the game. Zambia finishes second in Group B behind Malawi.
Zambia's left and right 3. Oh, stretching that defense. Here's a chance! Let, bang! Beyond Mitchell. They came with intent. That ball in your post. Keeper doesn't hold on. There's a chance. Perry. Good hard running here. Could be a chance coming up. They back across and problems for the Seychelles and Zambia. Now, chance for goal number 4, and there you have it, the Zambians.
Would you call it a body check?
I think the defender tried to check him and lost his footing. We'll have to go back some time for the last time they scored 2 goals. And there you have it, they've scored 2.
That is all we had for the news, but before we go, we'll take a look at the stories that made the headlines. Alleged CADRES swindle traders at Lusaka's COMESA market. Teachers Union blasts government over sanitation challenges in Lusaka. Zimbabwe's presidential aspirant condemns the use of colonial tactics to gain political office. In international news, 86 migrants rescued by Spanish COASTGUARDs. In sports news, Zambia beats Seychelles by 4-2. Before we go, we now look at the Camnet verse of the day, which comes from the book of ZEPHANIAH, chapter 3, verse 17. And it reads, "The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love, he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with a singing." That's it. That's all we had for the news at 19:30. Don't forget to join us for another bulletin on behalf of the entire production team. My name is Marco Kwakozi. Have a lovely night.